Hello, I'm Hannah Ciocco, and today I will be reviewing Engaging the Muslim World by Juan Cole. Engaging the Muslim World, written by Juan Cole, explores the relationship between the West and the Muslim world. This is done by examining the question of what it is that exactly stresses the West and the Muslim world when they interact. Because both the West and the Muslim world have anxieties when it comes to political and cultural relations, it causes stress on the overall relationship between the West and the Muslim world. Cole makes it evident that under the current circumstances, these corresponding and escalating anxieties pose grave dangers for the United States and the world. This is key because there are many resources such as petroleum and gas that are essential to the lifestyle of an industrialized democracy like America. The present-day relations and anxieties between the West and the Muslim world is critical to the study of Islam because without recognizing and correcting the flaws in these fears, the prosperity of the future amongst these two worlds may cease to progress. The author structured the book into chapters that pertain to the causes of anxiety amongst the West and the Muslim world. The first chapter is about the reliance of the United States and its main allies on petroleum and gas that is manufactured in the Persian Gulf. The second chapter distinguishes the difference between Muslim activism and Muslim radicalism. The third chapter covers the concept of Wahhabism in Saudi Arabia and the Western world's opinion on it. The fourth chapter is concerning how America continues to invoke Islamic anxiety and Islamophobia to ensue that the United States does not depart from Iraq. Chapter 5 examines how the Taliban affects Westerners' opinions of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The last chapter covers the political and military problems that America has with Iran and how it affects Westerners' stereotypes of the Muslim world. In Chapter 1, Cole provides some insight on the politics of oil and America's dependency on the non-reusable source. One of the causes of Islam anxiety is America's dependence on petroleum, gas, and other resources that are produced in the Persian Gulf. For example, America was built on cheap energy such as coal, petroleum, and natural gas. Those resources ultimately support America's whole transportation system and therefore their way of life. However, many people have realized that by using these cheap energy sources, it is hurting the environment and makes the U.S. bound to foreign manufacturers, specifically the Middle Eastern suppliers. This situation stresses Americans. This means America does not want to be dependent on Muslim states, and political policies arise that included American relations with Saudi Arabia and aggressive U.S. regional policy. Cole ultimately believes that Western consumers need to accept the inevitability of a close partnership with Muslim producers. This will ultimately reduce the Islamic anxiety, the West's Islamic anxiety, and require a new set of policies with the Middle East. Muslim activism and Muslim radicalism are not the same entity. Many images in today's media have affected the image of political Islam in ways that are often inaccurate. Cole categorizes political Islam as peaceful movements such as the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood is a peaceful movement that holds 88 out of 454 seats in the lower house of parliament and has never forced a mass movement. Egypt also suffers from anxiety towards the West. For example, a poll done in 2007 revealed that 93% of Egyptians had an unfavorable view of the United States. This means that Egyptians want to keep the Western culture out of Egypt because they believe that this includes casual sex, drugs, and violence. Therefore, the limit of Western influence is what Muslim Brotherhood of Egypt stands for, but through the use of politics and without the use of violence. Another aspect that Cole chooses to focus on was the topic of Wahhabism and how it causes Islamic anxiety in the West. Wahhabism is a distinct form of Islam and is found today in Saudi Arabia that generates anxiety amongst Westerners. This is because the term Wahhabism has become synonymous with dangerous radical in the North Atlantic world. This understanding of Wahhabism is a result of the continual reminder from the United States government that 13 out of 19 hijackers on September 11, 2001, and Osama bin Laden were from Saudi Arabia. Westerners also blame Islam or Wahhabism for the harsh human rights record that Saudi Arabia has today. Cole convinces the reader that we need to shed our prejudices about Wahhabism and that there is nothing inherently anti-American about it. Another recurring theme of Juan Cole's book is military involvement and the effect on Westerners in the Muslim world. In the chapter titled Iraq and Islam Anxiety, Cole dissects the idea that Islam anxiety is raised by the American government in order to stay in Iraq militarily, and therefore Islamophobia ensues amongst Americans. Imam Faisal Abdul Uraf, a Kuwaiti-American imam, believes that the prime reason for hostility in much of the Muslim world toward America has nothing to do with American values or American business, but rather the hostility is due completely to foreign policy and the very heavy footprint, including the military footprint, that the United States has in various parts of the Muslim world. This idea of Muslim hostility is also seen in Cole's Pakistan and Afghanistan chapter. Cole claims that the Islam anxiety in the West about Pakistan and Afghanistan is due to Westerners blurring the social conflict between urban and rural society, and these two countries with Islamic terrorism. This means that if the West continues to have military influence by trying to reconstruct these parts of the Muslim world, then there will no longer be progress, but rather an increased danger. For example, if there continues to be a massive number of foreign troops in these countries, it will draw the small number of radical Muslims in to attack the foreigners. The understanding of Islam anxiety is vital in order to realize how flawed and inaccurate the West's fears of the Muslim world are, and use Islam to understand and reveal the truth about the peaceful religion. Incidentally, Islam anxiety is also synonymous with Islamophobia in America. In Combating Islamophobia, Douglas M. Johnson wrote, "Since September 11, 2001, the phenomenon known as Islamophobia has swept across the United States, reflecting the growing concern among many Americans that practitioners of the Muslim faith are fundamentally irrational, intolerant, and violent." End of quote. This is a result of the West's engagement with the Muslim world. In conclusion, if the West wants to prosper in the 21st century, they need to endorse the tradition of religious neutrality, understand Islam as the peaceful religion that it is, and to cease constructing the Muslim world as an object of political rivalry. They need to get over their Islam anxiety. Thanks.